Here's a really nice belt fold that Hedi Kyle has taught. It's great as a closure. And you could also, if you want, it's nice like if you have a book that you want to put a label on but you don't really have a place for it, you can use this closure just so you can use it as a label. It's a lot of steps, but follow along. I'm going to demonstrate this twice. This one, you can make it any width you want. What I'm going to do, this is an inch and a half. And what I'm going to do to start off is I'm going to make myself a grid, a very small grid to help guide my folds. And what that grid is only going to be is these 3 lines, the exact width of my strap. And I want something that's straight across here, that's perpendicular. The way I'm going to do that is this. Turning it over, I'm going to make sure I fold it just perfectly. I'm going to bring it up and line it up with these other lines behind it. See how these are lined up perfectly? If I line these up perfectly, and look, this looks like it's crooked, it's because something else is crooked. But these have to line up. If these line up just right, when I open it up, this will be a perfect 90-degree angle. And I'm going to mark that so that I have this line to work with. There you go. Okay, so I've got my grid lined up, and this is going to be helpful in lots of ways. Now the length of strap that I'm using, it's got to be as long as I want it to wrap it around, plus 6 times this width. So this is an inch and a half, so I know I'm going to take up 9 inches with the closure, and then the rest will be for the strap that'll be wrapping around. Okay, so I'm going to start off like this. I'm going to line it up nicely to my grid below. Everything here is either going to be a fold that creates a square or the diagonal of a square. So this would be the square, and the first fold is to make the diagonal. The next fold is going to be another diagonal that meets up over here with this line. And if you're not working with a grid, you can just fold this over and mark that spot. Okay? It's the same thing. And what I'm going to do is bring this piece up to meet that line, and it's also meeting that line that I made, that handy grid. Okay? So you've got something here that sort of looks like a boat shape. You see the boat. That's where I see the boat. Next thing I'm going to do is bring this around back. Now, I want this to be going straight across. And what I'm going to do is, and the fold is going to start down here at this point. What I'll do is I'll just turn it over, and I can see pretty easily how to line it up. Everything is neat. There we go. So now it looks like this. And this, which I think of it as a flag, is going to fall here down behind the boat. And everything is still lined up nicely. Okay. Now, I want this whole thing to stay on this line. I'm going to fold right here. I'm going to fold right here as if this sort of boat is turning around. Floating across and turning around. And everything's still lined up nicely. Pressing everything down. Now, this is the last part that's kind of hard to see. But if I've got this lined up inside of my grid here, inside of the grid, the next fold I'm going to do is behind, and it's going to line up, it's going to be a square behind this square. So I'll start off doing this. And actually the easiest way to see this is to turn it over, and you can see this line, and it's going to line up with that line. There it is. Pressing it down, making sure everything is still lined up nicely. Okay. Now, all this time we've pretty much been going straight across. I actually needed to go, the strap is going to go up this way. And so I need this piece to go on up. And again, I can use my grid in the back to basically get it into position, but I'll turn it over. And you can see that there's this edge, this square here. I'll line that up, and we've got our diagonal of the square again there. Okay, there it is. Now, this piece is going to hold this in place. So it's going to wrap around, and there's a little pocket right here. See a little pocket? Push it in. I'm going to make this fold and push it into that pocket. Slide it in. And now that's pretty much, that's locked. That's locked. And this can slide in. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that if you're cutting this yourself, there's a good chance that one edge will be slightly longer than the other, and you need to check that. But here this worked out just fine. And I'll show you what I mean, because I'm going to demonstrate the whole thing again. Okay, take that away. This time, since you already saw the grid, I'm not going to make the grid. Instead, I'm going to use the grid that is on my cutting mat, because this time, instead of making 1.5 inches, I think, let's see, I don't know, maybe that was 2 inches. This is 1.5 inches. Okay. So, first thing I want to do is check to see if either side is one side is a little bit bigger than the other. And it looks like this side is a little bit bigger than that one. And so what I'll do is I'll make my strap from the bigger end. Okay? If I want this to be on the outside, which I do, I'll start like this with the pattern down. First one is to bring this up. Now remember, I want everything to be like a square. So I went in, and maybe I went in too much. Here, that's better. So look, this is 1, 2, 3 units. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 units here. And that's where my next fold will be. It's good, but then it's going to go straight up. And I can use my grid to see that it's straight up. This is the part that you might be most inclined to make a mistake at, because this comes like this. It comes behind. Okay, don't bring it in front, which would actually feel easier. Bring it behind, and then turn it over to make sure things are lined up nicely. There we go. And then this part falls behind. This is another place where it's easy to make a mistake, because it's sort of easier to bring it forward, but it falls behind. Okay. Now I'm going to take this piece, this whole piece, and just flip it over at that point. And it's going to still continue straight across here. So there's that point, and just bring it all the way over. Look, if I bring it too much, you can see that doesn't look right. There we go. Could even go a little bit less. Okay. Now here's another bit of a tricky part. I'm going to line this up here. 1, 2, 3. So right here is where my next fold line is going to be. And I'm going to bring it back, but I could also just turn it over and I can see that edge, this edge right here, and I'll line up to it. Okay, here it goes. Now I actually want my strap to be going this way, so I bring that back up again, put it sort of in place, but I'm going to turn it over and make this a nice neat half of this square. Flip it over again, and to secure this whole thing in place, this little boat of mine, this little edge is going to wrap around, and I see a little pocket right in there, the little pocket. If you don't see the pocket, you made you folded something the opposite way it should be folded. Now that I had a hard time pushing that in, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fold right there first. Tight fold and slide it in. There we go. This is Chiogami paper, which is really nice paper to use. And now I've got my strap. What I might want to do is take a knife or a cutting knife or a scissors. I have this nice little tool that rounds the corners and makes it a little easier to make it slip in. And now I've got my little strap that I can go find something to wrap up. Here's something nice. I'll wrap this up. In this case, I probably would want to cut the strap a little shorter, but it's very nice and it works out. Oh, another thing I want to mention, it's reversible. So if I turn it over like this, there's this, you see the square on the back, and you see the back of this piece of paper, but I can put it through, and this is another way of using the strap. So there you go.